Oh, I got the beeping to stop in my house finally.
Yay!
Yes, I had to.
That's the first thing that we heard. Thanks, Dan.
I know. I made sure of that. Yeah, I had to do some
Right off the top, we took care of the beeping, so everybody.
I had to do some MacGyver stuff to my non-use alarm system. Well, I shouldn't say that over live TV.
Was it the alarm in the SUV at the Barclays Center?
No, I just had to replace the battery, then reset it. It all works now.
Okay, well,
Fantastic.
plenty of news today in the wonderful world of hockey. But as we usually do, we start with something non-hockey related to at the beginning of the show, and maybe it's a little hockey related to us, but the NFL, after years and years and years of discussions about them moving back to Los Angeles, now definitely one team and potentially two teams are going to move back into LA. Yesterday it was announced that the St. Louis Rams are going back to Los Angeles. So all those Vince Ferragamo fans, get your pom-poms together.
Hey, I liked Vince. Don't start ripping on Vince. He's a Facebook friend.
Well, he sucked in Buffalo, so he's no friend of mine.
Well, a lot of players have sucked in Buffalo over the years.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of players have gone to die there. Come on.
Yeah.
And some coaches. But now they are the LA. They have the St. Louis Rams no more. They're back to being the LA Rams.
I feel bad for the city of St. Louis.
Yeah, and there are rumors
that's happened to him.
Yeah.
There are rumors that the San Diego Chargers will be moving up the coast to LA. And
how does Jacksonville still have a team?
Yeah, that's a good.
If that's a team if you're gonna move a team, wouldn't that be a team you move? Or are they destined for London?
I looked for Jim Hart and Jim Bakken on Twitter, but they're not on there, just to kind of sort of commiserate with those guys because I watched them as a kid.
I'm surprised they just didn't.
The old St. Louis Cardinals football team.
Right. No. Right.
I don't even know.
I'm surprised they just didn't move 4 teams to London and make their own division out there.
They stole the team from Chicago. It was the Chicago Cardinals, and they moved to St. Louis. So honestly, and somebody I heard this morning made the argument, St. Louis really has always been a baseball town.
Okay.
And it just they don't seem to want to go the nth degree to build the new stadium.
That stadium's not old though.
No, I mean this is where I think
is that stadium more than 15 years old? I don't think it is.
Even so, for people that go there, I don't hear complaints about the stadium. If you look up their revenue, they made $226 million.
Yeah, nobody's losing money in the NFL.
In 2014, so it's not about losing revenue. And if you watch the video basically, if you listen to Stan Kroenke, it's basically like, well, I could charge more in LA. Okay, well, that's great, Stan. So now you're just going to leave these fans in a lurch. I want to say this, too, because I'm trying to head this one off. I wrote something on Sportsology about the Chargers fans, because I was out in San Diego. I did a live radio show at the NFL Experience in 2003. It was there. I got a chance to mingle with fans and see the stadium and everything. And I know people that live out there. And so I did a little research, and they're the eighth worst in revenue in 2014 in the NFL, which still means they made over $300 million.
Yeah.
So the only problem with San Diego really is there's no place to build a new stadium, and Dean Spanos sees that the Cowboys have made $620 in 2014, and he wants to make something like that. It's just absolute greed.
I can't justify paying taxpayer dollars for a venue that has 8 games a year.
Well, they're claiming that there's no taxpayer dollars, but we'll see how that actually shakes out.
Right.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that, Dan, because I was sort of going to transition the conversation into what's going on at the NHL right now. Now, not only, and we'll talk about franchises in a minute, but the whole situation that's going on with Calgary. I mean, Gary Bettman didn't exactly do a great job going to Calgary in recent days because there's a debate going on there regarding public and private funding of a new arena for the Flames. It seemed a couple years ago this was a foregone conclusion, and now it appears that there's some real hesitancy upon especially with the economy going so badly in Calgary. I mean, that's the epicenter of the oil, in Calgary, the oil business, and it was booming 2-3 years ago, but not so much now. And Bettman goes there, and essentially from his comments, he now has rankled the mayor and some people there. They don't want to put in public funding for a stadium.
It shouldn't have to.
But
we shouldn't have to. These guys are not worth $1,000. The owners of the Flames are also not losing money. There's no reason for public money to be going into this.
I don't want
It's not going to lower your taxes.
No, here's the thing. I don't want to argue about the rich get richer because the rich will always get richer. It's been that way my whole life. It will continue to be that way. But I think when you talk about a team, and forget about what the economic impact is. We know it has great economic impact, though, on the Red Mile. It does, because we saw those bars empty the last time they struggled. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of other public funds that get wasted on worse things than teams. And so I think there's a fine line. I always felt like there's a fine line. I don't think it should ever be 100% funded by people because, again, owners have plenty of money. But when they're in partnership, and there have been some teams that have done it in partnership, I'm better about that. I'm happier about that.
Well, it's one thing. I think you have to look at the numbers too. If the team needs $900 million, that's ridiculous. If the team needs everyone's taxes to go up $12, then that's fine.
Right.
Well, I know that like with the Air Canada Center, I think the land was provided by the government, but they built the stadium. They built the arena. So in that instance, I mean, but we're talking about MLS&E, and they've got deep pockets. I mean, Russ, you may hate the Yankees, but the Yankees they paid for the entire Yankee Stadium. They paid for the land. They paid for the stadium. They didn't expect New York State. I think New York State gave them tax breaks, but
they did.
Yeah.
But I do like the way they did it. I do. I just hated that it couldn't be on the same land as the original Yankee Stadium. That made me hate the Yankees even more. Sorry.
Well, they built it in the parking lot. I mean,
it's not the same. Babe Ruth didn't walk in the parking lot.
Yeah, well, you know what? I call BS there because that stadium was already remodeled, and so that where that home plate was not where Babe Ruth's home plate was. It was already different.
Babe Ruth didn't walk in that parking lot. He got picked up by a limo. So, to me, it's meaningless.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, I mean, in that situation, it was impossible unless they were going to play in Shea for a year. Because that's what they did.
Right, they would have to play somewhere else.
They had to play somewhere, so they couldn't exactly do that. While they're tearing down the old Yankee Stadium, they're building the new one. They couldn't. They had to. They couldn't do that. So
the problem is the problem is not that they paid for it on their own, which is great. They just made an opulent Death Star that has no character or soul. Other than that, it's fantastic.
That's what it boils down to. Yeah.
It's a mausoleum, but I've never been to City.
It's a really nice shopping mall.
Yeah,
City's different because
City has character.
It has character because of the brick. It gives you the old-time feel. Now, a Met fan like me doesn't want to see it looking, like Ebbets Field. Even though my parents are Brooklyn Dodger fans, they went there and everything. I still don't like that, but it does have a much nicer feel. It does.
And apparently this proposal in Calgary is a combined arena and a football stadium for the Stampeders, so it's a multi-purpose facility.
All right.
We're probably talking in the billions here. I don't know the specifics of it, but the long and the short of it is Gary Bettman went there to sort of grease the wheels to get things going, and I think he actually raised a lot of ire among the people in Calgary. And not the fact that Calgary is not going to move. That's not a franchise that's threatening to move or anything like that. But it's it's something that they want to get going because they want a new arena there. But in other situations in the NHL, namely Carolina, Russ, that that franchise is in limbo, and that could go the way of the Rams. That could move someplace else.
Absolutely. I mean, I hear two sides to that story. Like, I hear the side that, well, they've said that there's no rush. Okay, but I know one day they're going to wake up and the board of directors are going to go and talk to everybody and say, we got to get out of there if nothing's been done, right? So something has to get done, and we don't know when that drop-dead date is. They may not even know, but one day they'll wake up and the financial market will make them think, now we have to do this. So it's going to happen if they don't.
How many more years can they continue to lose the money that they're losing?
Right.
Yeah, and this is obviously an important thing for the NHL because, look, Nassau Coliseum was falling apart.
Yeah, I never saw Gary Bettman campaigning over there with the politicians.
He didn't get behind the Lighthouse Project or anything like that. But you know what? It was so much of a problem that they moved. And not saying that Barclays is bad, but they moved into an imperfect situation in Brooklyn rather than stay at Nassau Coliseum for another year or two. It was that bad of a situation. So. Mm-hmm. It's
the Saddle Dome's getting old. We know that.
No one's complaining that they don't need a new arena. They actually do. That arena's old.
Right, but here's the thing. It's hard to be a commissioner because your job is to move the league forward, to make money, and a lot of that has to do with getting new arena deals because that keeps owners happy. And so he does have to sort of trumpet those things, and that's the tough part of the job because 15 years ago, that was an easy part of the job. Every municipality, every state, every government was more than happy to do it. Now, everybody fights it, and it's become the hardest thing to do, even for the NFL, obviously, or otherwise there wouldn't be possibly 2 teams moving. And so that's the and trust me, those 2 teams I think are the tip of the iceberg. I think there are other owners that are probably looking at their lease deals and looking at other cities that look like they could be gold mines in the future, and I think they're going to start hitting up that relocation committee. That's just my feeling.
I'm telling you, 4 teams in London. I bet you it happens.
Yeah, it very well could. And
I've heard.
Or 4 teams in Europe, maybe 2 teams in London.
I've heard Mexico City is a possibility.
I mean, why not? Sure.
Which is to me is insane. But the one thing that I mean, as a fan of the Bills, even though they make my life miserable every year by losing. One of the things when Ralph Wilson passed away, everybody thought that was it, and then we had the jerko Donald Trump try to buy the team. Which I don't know whether that was I was
in favor of that, by the way. As a Jet fan, I was all in on that.
That would have been funny. That would have been hilarious, actually.
I'm sure you're more Russ, but Terry Pagula buying the team settles it in Buffalo for probably a generation, and we honestly had to worry about the team's future, either moving to Toronto or moving someplace else, maybe even moving to LA. I don't know how many markets really are out there for teams to move. I think Jacksonville will move because that's a bad market.
There's a lot of up and coming markets. There are, and other countries. Here's the thing. There's 2 things. I mean, the Chargers have been there since 1961, right? Now they've never won the Super Bowl, but they have a really good long-standing history. They're a pretty decent team. They've been to the playoffs. They've been to the Super Bowl.
But when did they move to San Diego? Because they started as the LA Chargers.
61.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah, and so, to me, it's just like there's no loyalty with that anymore. It's like, well, sorry, we've outgrown the city. That's what it seems like, right? And so now you're talking about Mexico City. Mexico City was a complete disaster for the Expos, if you remember. A complete disaster with Major League Baseball and the Expos. And the NFL would be like the NFL to think, we're the NFL. We'll get past that.
It's not safe there, though.
No.
Well, no, that's the thing. It's like it might be safe for El Chapo, but
I think Europe makes sense because you're going into bigger markets than any of the existing markets here. The time difference is actually in your favor because you can start football Sunday at 10 a.m. and go until midnight.
It actually worked better for the Expos in Puerto Rico than it did for. I don't remember how many games did they play in Mexico City?
I don't know. It wasn't Puerto Rico.
It was a couple.
I thought they played in San Juan. I thought that's what.
San Juan. That's right. I'm sorry. It was San Juan. You're right.
Okay. No, no, honestly, because I remember they were trying different venues at certain points because the situation in Montreal was so untenable. And now, of course, in Major League Baseball, Montreal is back in favor that they may go back there if there's a franchise like at the Miami Marlins. I mean, they just built Tampa Bay with their.
It'd be Tampa or Oakland.
All right. Actually, maybe this is what made me screw up. The Padres and Astros are playing 2 spring training games there this year.
Okay. Oh, boy. Yeah, well,
I just saw that today, and I think that's what fouled me up there.
One last thing about something Los Angeles related before we start the show proper here. I'm a critic of ESPN regarding their coverage of the NHL because they don't cover the NHL, and they have like 2 employees that cover the NHL. And
the funny thing is, they have really good hockey people working there.
They do. They have more than 2. Let's be fair. They have more than 2.
I mean, like their staff. Like a lot of people are very knowledgeable hockey people. They're just not allowed to broadcast.
I'm talking about on-air guys. I mean, not talking about the website, but I'm telling you, it's Buchagras and it's at Barry Melrose, and that's the only time I ever see anybody talking.
Levy and Linda Cohn do a good job too.
Yeah, but their coverage is very limited, and I understand why. But they do a retrospective on Los Angeles championships this morning with the LA Rams moving back, and they forget the most recent championships, namely the LA Kings.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
I mean, I'll add to this. Look, I watched the Rams as a kid. I even had a Rams jersey at one time because I liked guys like Ferragamo, and I liked Pat Hayden, and I liked Lawrence McCutcheon, and there were some guys I liked. So, and Namath went there for a year, obviously, and so I liked him for a little while. But the thing is, those were not like extremely passionate football crazy fans, and they're not going to be in this new environment either. Now, Kings fans are. They've been there the whole time, good and bad, and that's a big thing to me. It's like, how many fans weather the good and the bad? When attendance shrinks a little when it's bad, I get it. But in LA, when they're bad, attendance not only shrinks, it goes to nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's not a problem getting a Lakers ticket right now, Russ, the way they stink.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I looked up the Lakers just for that fact, right? In 2014, and I didn't want to do it for this year because this year Kobe announced he's leaving, right? So attendance is good. In 2014, they were 8th in the NBA. 8th. Now, this is LA. How could they possibly be 8th in attendance?
Because they're boring.
There's a better team that plays in the same building.
Right, and they're boring.
They weren't 8th. I'm sure they were lower.
You think the Clippers were lower?
No, I bet you they were higher.
I bet you they were higher. With Blake Griffin and Paul, I mean, no. I think
that's a good ticket right now.
I'm thinking they outdrew them because, I mean, honestly, the Lakers suck now. I mean, it's a historic franchise and they've won a ton of championships, and Kareem and Magic and Kobe and Shaq. But right now they're on a low ebb, and they're not. That's why I'm saying they're not a ticket that I'm sure is in demand right now.
No, but that's the thing with football. They're even less passionate than those fans.
It's only 8 games though.
It's only 8 games. That's the thing. And if it's 2 teams, it's only 16 games.
And the novelty of them being new for a few years will help them.
Yes. So, okay, let's start the show. Dan, you start.
Okay.
Hello, Hockey World. Today is Wednesday, January 13th, 2016.
I'm Dan Petro, and boy, we nailed the date.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
I wanted to make sure I got it right, Dan.
Yeah, you did. You nailed it.
This is the HockeyBuzzcast here on HockeyBuzz.com. Eklund is still recovering from his birthday, which, by the way, he also shares that birthday not only with Claude Giroux, but with Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, you guys were right. The Clippers were 7th.
There you go.
All right, hey, that's better than 8.
I know, but even in that market, should that not be better?
Yeah. Yeah, we're on the hockey now, though.
Yes. The big news of the day the story was broke by TSN's Bob McKenzie, who normally breaks most stories, is that Anze Kopitar, star center of the LA Kings, has signed an 8-year max contract for $80 million, $10 million AAV. I haven't seen any kind of, whether it's front loaded or not, but I'm assuming they'll probably try to front load the money and a little bit, because he is 28 years old. He's won 2 Stanley Cups with the Kings. Russ, just off the top, what do you think of the contract?
I think it's a good deal. Listen, Kopitar is a leader. I've interviewed him many times. He's a quiet kind of guy, but I'm sure when we're not in the locker room, he's a really good leader. He does it every year on the ice. Is he the best player in the NHL? No. Is he sort of in that top 10? Yeah, he's in that top 10. And so I think this is a good deal for them. He has a history of winning. They want to continue. Fans love him out there. But again, this affects a lot of things because now Stamkos is going to make more. We all know that. The minute this deal gets signed, we know even if it's $87 million, Steven Stamkos is going to make more.
Russ, that was the column I just posted before the webcast. Dan, if you think about it here, Kopitar wanted to stay in LA. He made no bones about it. He wanted to stay. Not to say that he gave him a hometown discount, but
no, he didn't.
He didn't. He is 3rd in the NHL behind Kane and Taves, and he wanted to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
It's set up for him. So he gets $10 million. Stamkos, it's arguable whether he wants to stay there, and if he hits the open market, we know that people get overpaid in the open market. So to me, I think Stamkos gets more than Kane or Taves if he hits the open market.
Absolutely. And I put Kopitar in I actually think Kopitar and Taves are very similar players. Kopitar is one of the better. He's never going to put up a 90-point season, but he's going to be 30 goals, 35 assists, maybe a little more than that, and just be an excellent player in all 3 zones. He's definitely the kind of guy you need come playoff time to win a Stanley Cup, and he's proven he can do that. I actually like this deal. I like this deal a lot for the Kings. I'm not sure what that does for the rest of their UFAs and RFAs that are coming up. I don't know if they can swing Lucic staying now. I know they want to. I think they probably have to move Gaborik to do so, and I don't know who's taking that.
Like he'll be gone.
I'm not sure who's taking Gabrick right now, so Lucic looks like I would think would hit the market now. So it's funny when you have one contract, it kind of starts off a domino effect of the rest of the team. But with that being said, if I'm Stamkos' agent, I'm asking for at least 11 now.
You know, but the problem is also that we brought up yesterday. Now the Canadian dollar is expected to possibly hit as low as 60 cents.
I really need to take a vacation to Canada.
Yeah.
At some point this year.
And
so, like, the top players will get their money, right? They always
they
get
will.
their money. But now these other players, this is where the big fight's going to happen. And I was sort of telling Mike offline yesterday that if any players were sort of coming back to give teams like a hometown discount, you know, 1-year deals, whatever, now they're going to look to make every dime they can because who knows if they're even keeping their escrow this year. That's going to be up in the air, too.
Well, that was one of the points I made in my column was the fact that, I mean, right now, wipe away that projected $3 million that the NHL said that was going to happen back in December at the GM's meeting. So say the cap stays at $71.4 million.
Right.
With all the restricted and unrestricted free agents that the Lightning have, I don't think Yzerman is going to be able to even offer Stamkos close to Kane and Taves or even equal Kopitar. If in the position that they're in, I mean, unless he clears out, you know,
he'd have to move Callahan and Fippola and probably Bishop.
Well, I think he can move Fippola, Bishop, and remember, Coburn falls off the books.
Yes.
So I think he could do it then. I do.
Yeah, I mean, but it's good. I mean, you'd have to counterbalance what is more affecting to your club. You know, moving out 3 or 4 pieces, or
the biggest thing is they have to get Hedman re-signed to a long-term deal.
Right, and it's not just Bishop. I mean, okay, step one: are you confident that Vasilevsky can be the number 1 over Bishop? I mean, Vasilevsky.
I think so.
Step back this year. He's got a lot of talent. You know, is your defense good enough? You have to sign Hedman. Hedman is probably going to expect to make $8 million.
Absolutely.
Okay, now you got to pay Kucherov. Now you got to pay Tyler Johnson. Now maybe Tyler Johnson's amount isn't going to be as high because he had an injury-plagued season.
But if Johnson's smart, he takes a 1-year deal.
Right.
Maybe not. If he's
or
maybe,
2.
You know, here's the funny thing too. Like everybody with teams thinks they're safe with their RFAs, right? Like Mike and I looked up the number for the Rangers yesterday, and they have a $54 million attached to 12 players next year. Kreider, Hayes, and Miller are their restricted free agents. Even though they're not having great years, their salaries are going up. It doesn't matter.
You know Kreider's going to ask for Carl Hagelin money.
Yeah. Their salaries will go up. It doesn't matter what kind of year they're having. I think that's sort of a misnomer that's out there. Well, it won't be that high because they're not doing that great. Okay.
Well, and take this into consideration. Right now, the Maple Leafs, you know, I mean, they have a lot of UFA and RFAs on their roster for next year, but right now they potentially have $35 million in cap space.
Yeah.
$35 million.
They can sign some guys to 1-year deals if they have to. They can take on a bad contract for a year. They have lots of flexibility.
They have lots of flexibility in that respect. And the funny thing is they basically have an $80 million cap and not a $71 million cap for next year because they have Robidas and they have Nathan Horton.
Right.
Yeah. Plus, they could have even more room if they buy out Joffrey Lupul. The cap hit would be $1.5 million instead of $5.25 million for the next 2 years. It'd be $1.5 million times 4 years. You know, the things of that nature. They have ways of even opening up even more cap space, which means I think are things they're going to do. Because Stamkos is 26 years old. If he hits the open market, I know Eck referred to it in his column today that he thinks that Detroit, and Kevin hinted as much yesterday, that he thinks Detroit may be positioning themselves for maybe an offer to Stamkos. Yeah, maybe that's true. But honestly, I don't think Detroit can offer Stamkos $11 million, and a team that still has flexibility to add players and has young players coming up. To me, this whole situation is just paving the road to Stamkos to Toronto if he decides he wants to go there.
Or go wherever the heck he wants to go.
Wherever the heck he go. Yeah, but the thing is, Russ, you have to admit that with this news regarding the Canadian dollar, the number of teams that are going to be in a position to actually offer him the type of money that he's going to expect is probably cut in half.
I mean, and a team like Ottawa, who's already sort of teetering with finances, their cap, whatever their budget is, probably going down. And I'm sure a team like Arizona their budget's going to go down or stay the same. Either way, that makes it like going down.
Well, don't worry about Arizona's budget. They just sent John Scott down to the AHL.
What about the Panthers?
Well, they could spend, but as Kevin said, it depends how much probably they make this year. You know, I mean, if they can go on a long run, that will definitely give them some more flexibility and cash for next year. Because I'm sure their owners have a limit as to how deep they're going to get too.
And they have old guys like, they want to keep Yager around.
Right.
But they have older players like Campbell and
Campbell's coming off.
And Willie Mitchell, I think, is coming off.
I think they're both coming off, right?
So,
yeah, but they might want to retain Campbell. Like from all discussions that I have with people around Florida, he's been invaluable to them this year. And
I bet you they could probably get him at a reduced rate, significantly reduced rate.
Right. So I think that's the thought is that Campbell probably comes back. Willie Mitchell probably does go out there. That's probably.
I read somebody saying that he could go back to LA again. You know, that basically he would be willing to take a 1 year low money deal to go back there and be part of, fit in as a bottom pairing guy, which, that's not a totally terrible proposition. He could win another Stanley Cup there. Okay, let's move on to a couple hits last night in a couple games. Now, was the Myers hit last night, Russ, or was
it was the day before?
It was Sunday. I think it was Sunday. Yeah. So Tyler Myers lays out Tommy Wingles of the Sharks, and gets a 5-minute major in a game for that. And last night, if anybody saw the Bobby Farnham hit on Dmitry Yaskin,
Mugging. It was assault. That was assault.
It was fun. It was funny in a sense, Dan. It was funny because he got rubbed out along the boards by I think it was Shattenkirk.
I think it was. It wasn't the guy he hit.
No, it wasn't the guy he hit. And the thing was, he got hit. He got up and he looked at the first blue that he saw, and he went right at Yaskin. And it was a Wendell Clark Bruce Bell hit. It was one of those right face to face, and got him. It almost looked like he got him underneath the chin.
Yep, left his feet.
And then after he hit him, 4 Blues went after him, including Ryan Reeves, which is a scary proposition. And Jordan Tutu had to take one on the chin.
Oh, he took a couple on the chin.
Yeah, to protect his teammate. Now, I mean, that was a pretty dangerous hit.
It's like the kid lost his mind for a few minutes.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, because that
It was like that on both hits, though. Like, that's the problem. It's like Yaskin made a clean check, right? So then
it wasn't even Yaskin that hit him. It was someone else. I think it was.
Someone else hit him, but I saw he got hit.
Yeah,
so
that was a clean hit.
That was a clean hit, right?
Yeah.
So then Farnham gets up, and if you had the bull picture where the eyes are red and everything, he's just looking for the next thing that moves, and he just absolutely just lays him out under the chin, like you said. It looked like a professional wrestling hit. It didn't even look like a hockey hit.
He pile drived him, or he did the John Cena,
It was ridiculous, and the Tyler Myers, Myers gets checked, and it wasn't even that big of a check, but he was almost like, how dare you check me?
Right.
Cross-checks him across the face and knocks him down, and then says the next day, well, if I get suspended, that's, whatever words he used, basically he was saying that's bull. And it's like, come on, man. I mean, it's like, what does this come to? It's like, now everybody has to one-up just because of a hit?
Well, that's one thing. It's. I mean, honestly, we've talked about this before. The mentality in the NHL right now of the player getting hit by a clean hit, and there has to be a fight because, oh boy, you hit me, which to me is ridiculous. But what I also think is the inconsistency of the NHL Department of Player Safety regarding these hits. Now, okay, 2 instances in 2 straight games, and it's been talked about over the last couple days in Toronto. Roman Polak hits former teammate Mike Santorelli in a game against Anaheim. It was, I think he got a 2-minute boarding penalty, and it should have been a 5 in a game. It was a really rough hit from behind on the numbers, behind the net, and he only got 2 minutes for boarding. And then I think he fought with Josh Manson of the Ducks. Okay, so he only gets a 2-minute minor for that, no review from the league. The next night in LA, He rubs out Tyler Toffoli, but it was not. It looked like a clean hit. It was the way that Toffoli fell into the boards, and for that one, he got the 5 in the game.
Right.
I mean, there's no consistency whatsoever, and also I think the Department of Player Safety, when somebody gets hit, one hit looks like it's going to, cost somebody 5 games and they get a fine, and
no,
the next one looks like it's a fine and it's 5 games.
I mean, it's a tough job, but that's
the board.
What's
it's
that?
all over the board. It is.
Yeah,
you know what I kind of wish? Now, this is just me. If I were in the Department of Player Safety, I would basically hand out a guide as to what the hits are, what the previous record means, and what the penalty is. And I would have done that before the season began. So this way, you and I and everybody else and fans...
They don't know what it is. They don't know.
No, that's the thing. They need to spell that out.
It's all subjective.
It can't be all subjective anymore. It can't.
I've said it many times. The major failure that the player safety department has is they deem the suspension based on the result of the play and not the intent. I've said it hundreds of times. If I try and kill somebody, I fail, I still go to jail because I intended to do so.
And Dan, it's also the reputation of a player and multiple offenses. Rafi Torres just came off his 40-game suspension or whatever it was. It was lengthy. It just ended yesterday, I believe. So he'll be back in the lineup. And
he'll be suspended again in another 2 weeks.
And I can show you 4 instances in the last 12 months where Ovechkin should have been suspended.
Right, and this is the thing. The last hit that Rafi Torres got suspended for, to me, was a trivial hit. But this was like after the one he threw on was it Seabrook, the one he threw on Hossa, all these other ones that he's done, and then he did one that was questionable, and it's just the recidivism. It's just the one he did another one, so that comes into it. It's not based on a case-by-case basis anymore. They take into consideration a guy like Ovechkin who hasn't been suspended once for a hit, and they keep perpetuating that, even though he's one of the dirtiest players in the game because he's so big and he's a star. He can get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there needs to be a standard set.
Yes.
There does. And until there is, there's going to be a problem from coverage standpoint, and there's going to be a problem on the ice from the standpoint of players, because it seems like players don't know what's coming anymore as far as what the suspension might be, right? Every time you hear about a player when they're talking about if they get suspended or whatever, it seems like they don't even know. And a lot of times they're surprised and not surprised. So I think we're all in the dark on this. Everybody.
You know what argument I hate too? Oh, it's the player who got hit. It's their fault. They put themselves in the look. You're not supposed to hit my back. I have the right to turn my back. Now there are instances where at the last second you turn and you get drilled. I understand that, but it's not the victim's fault.
Right. Well, okay, it's not the victim's fault anymore, Dan, because Dean McCammon is no longer in the league. He was
he was really good at that.
Victim who would leave himself wide open to get destroyed.
Nobody can skate through the neutral zone with their head down like he would.
It was just insane. He was a victim just waiting to be destroyed.
I know. I remember that.
Okay.
And I don't want to take hits out of the game. I'm all for
of course not. I like legal hits.
Yeah, it just needs to get cleaned up a little bit. That's really.
I agree.
Yeah, to use an example from a different sport, I don't want to take out hitting from football. I do want to take out the hit like the guy from the Steelers did on it, or like from the Bengals did on Antonio Brown, because he could have broken his neck.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Some interesting waiver wire news today. Defenseman Kevin Connaughton, formerly of the Dallas Stars, now formerly of the Columbus Blue Jackets, who, Russ, this is the thing. This is a team that needs defense, and they waive a defenseman.
That tells you something.
Yeah, and the Arizona Coyotes picked him up. Now, I've seen him play over the years. He's a good bottom pairing guy. He's serviceable, and I think this is as I mentioned before, John Scott he's only being sent down to the AHL for 2 days. It's basically a roster move, but he'll apparently be coming back, but. I watched Arizona play Edmonton last night, and I continue to say I'm stunned the way this team is playing, because Louis Domingue in net, a hodgepodge on defense, Max Domi, he hadn't scored a goal in, I think, 16 games, and he scores a hat trick. They're firmly entrenched in second place in the Pacific, Russ.
For the moment, they are, and we'll see if Domingue can keep it up in the second half. That's going to be the big thing because, he could be this year's Hammond. We'll see. I mean, it is entirely possible, regardless of what anybody thought about him before. Guys do this. Guys go on run. Remember Brian Boucher's run? And
Blaine Locker.
But he went on a run like nobody else went on a run, right? I mean,
Penny.
It can happen. And so I think about that. I also think about what you said about Columbus. So they make that deal, and they don't get any better. Nashville makes their deal with Columbus. They don't get any better. So right now, here's what I've learned about Nashville and Columbus. Not only is nothing changing, but like with Nashville, and that's going to be your next transaction, Cody Hodgson gets cut on a team that can't score goals. Either they're going to pick up Zach Kassian, which, great, we'll see how many goals you get out of Zach, or they're going to call up Kevin Fiala because he's got at least, I think he has 21 points in the AHL. He won't play defense, but he does have offensive ability. Or you're going to do nothing, and this is where David Poyle, like X not on the show today, but this is where I have a problem with David Poyle as a GM.
Russ, I was just going to bring this up. It's like, okay, look at what they did over the summer and how almost every move has failed.
Yeah.
They signed Steve.
They're all low risk, Mike, so don't worry about it.
They rolled the dice on Steve Moses. He went back to the KHL. They rolled the dice on Cody Hodgson. He's waived. Last February, they made the trade for Cody Franzen and Mike Santorelli and gave up a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Now they make Ryan Johansson for Seth Jones, and I like the deal for both teams. But the thing is, they've gone. I think they've lost 4 in a row. They lost last night to Chicago 3-2.
And they needed to win that game. I felt like if they were going to show somebody like me and other people and their fans, hey, we're moving in the right direction, you win that game against Chicago.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand that players can drop off like that. Cody Hodgson 3 years ago with Buffalo had a really good year, earned a long-term extension, played terribly under Ted Nolan, and the Sabres took the buyout option because he was under 25, and it would only be 1/3 of the amount instead of 2/3. So it would cost them like a couple $1 million more to buy him out the following year. So they escaped it. And I know that I was in favor of like teams like Toronto who were looking for those 1-year guys as reclamation projects to sign Hodgson. And he's got 3 goals and 8 assists for a team that's starving for offense. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe his career is done before it started.
Yeah. He had good hands. Sorry, Dan. He had good hands, but he just never had good speed. And I guess these days you really have to have both.
Yeah, and just from the Columbus perspective, because I saw them play last night, and it's too early. Obviously, Seth Jones and Ryan Murray are still learning the game, and they still make their mistakes. But they showed some flashes of brilliance last night, where this looks like they're going to be a very good pairing together. The way they move the puck, their first passes, just the vision that the two shared together, I think that has the makings, not right now, but maybe a year or two from now, being a very good first pairing.
Okay, but now you've encapsulated my problem with Columbus even before Yarmul got there. Has anything changed? If you're a fan, you're still being told, hey, in a year or two, don't worry, we'll be there.
Well, no, I don't know. I don't know. It's not like Columbus hasn't tried, though. They've brought in big contracts.
Russ, how many years has it been that Bobrovsky goes down with a groin
That's
injury?
the number one problem. They have a goalie who can't stay healthy, and when he does healthy, they're a very good team. Last night, that wasn't even an AHL performance.
Well, it was Anton Forsberg.
He was horrific. Brian Streit scored from the point.
I wish I could get Anton Forsberg to choose my Powerball numbers.
I mean, remember when X said to me, do you really think he's the worst goalie in hockey? And I said,
yes.
He's the worst goalie in hockey. It's not even close.
Yeah. I mean, he's proof positive that they're angling for Austin Matthews because, I mean,
at this point, they might as well.
If you want to lose, you put Anton Forsberg in.
Yeah.
Now they're playing Korpisalo.
That's what Buffalo tried to do last year, but every goalie they put in played well.
Now they're playing Corpusalo tonight against Toronto. So
they have to give him some work because he is a goalie of the future for them.
He actually has some talent. He's not ready. He's nowhere near ready, but he definitely. Russ, you would know better than I, but he looks like he fits the part.
No, he does. I mean, he's a really athletic goalie. He will definitely have to work on his angles a little bit, and he is aggressive. And yes, he definitely is not like ready to be number one yet. But it's good that they're giving him work. Yes. I'm just saying, like, I'm just thinking about this as a fan. And I'm a Columbus fan. And look, I thought preseason, I did an interview with Ryan Johansson. He knew the team was looking up. I thought the team was looking up. Circumstances have been what they've been. But they were the same way last year. It just seems like it's a repeat performance. Maybe it is Bobrovsky that sort of is at the head of it all.
Big part of it.
But it's happening every year. That's all I know.
And Russ, it's getting worse because he injured his groin, he came back, and he hurt it in practice, and he went right back on the injured list. Yeah. And the thing is, how many years have they had? Curtis McElhinney's an okay backup goaltender. Okay. He's competent, fine, but you've got somebody with a wonky groin. You have to basically have as your number two goaltender somebody who's capable of being a number one. Otherwise,
a Jonas Enroth, Al Montoya, so a really good backup.
Otherwise, your season's going into the crapper, and that's what's going on. So you put that together with now they've traded their number one center. And now you have the defense, which has been a problem for years. And this is the only thing I have against Jarmo. You have situations that have been unresolved, and they continue to be unresolved for years on end. And all you do is make them worse by signing guys like David Savard for a big contract, who's to me is an average defenseman. And now you're paying him over $4 million a year. And now a guy like Jack Johnson, who's making big coin.
Yeah.
Good luck getting rid of him with the way the fiscal situation is in the league right now. Who wants to take that contract on?
Hey, I do have to mention something before we move on. Ex-niece Brianna, who watches us every day, today is her 20th birthday.
Nice.
We want to wish her a happy birthday, and really, hopefully it's a great day for her.
Okay. I just got the text myself.
So just want to mention that. Now, what do you guys think about Nashville? I mean, it's early, but the idea is they're now teetering with their playoff spot. They're not scoring any more goals. They have 109 goals, which to me is like appalling considering if we looked at the breakdown from their blue line, it's probably like, 65% from their blue line?
That's a problem, yeah.
Russ, I think...
What's happening there?
They need to go get Eric Stahl.
I think... No.
But then they're going to be mortgaging more assets they don't have.
Yeah, they need something. They need more than just Johansson. They need more players.
If they trade for Stahl, that means they're trading Fiala because Fiala would probably have to be part of the package.
Have to be in it, yeah.
But honestly, Nashville, in my eyes right now, is the Pittsburgh of the West. They're all in. They made this deal. They've traded their future linchpin number one defenseman. Right now they have Weber, and Weber's in his prime. They have Yossi, and they have the depth. But they gave up the guy who was the future, who was 21 years old.
Yeah, but Yossi's not that old.
No, I know he's only 26 or 27. I'm just saying.
You can argue that he's better than Weber right now.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is when Weber drops off, if they would have kept Jones, Jones would have taken.
Right, and they do still have that Coleman Ellis. They do still have,
Right, their defense is good right now, and they traded from a position of strength to fill the hole that has been gaping for as many years as they've been in Nashville.
It was a trade of desperation.
But right now,
Jones isn't there anymore, so we can't blame the lack of offense on him because Washington's scoring.
Right.
And what I'm saying is I think that Poyle is going to go for it in terms of get as many bodies as he can get that can help him get into the playoffs, get past the first or second round. They have to make a run this year. This is not. Didn't he do that
in Washington once and then eventually lost his job as a result?
Yeah, but how many years can he keep doing this? I mean, he did this a few years ago. The year before Ryan Suter went UFA.
Right.
He did it because he knew that he had to. He had this group. Now he's got all these guys under contract. That's the one difference. But but Rene is in his early 30s. Weber is 30 years old. Now you have Johansson. You're gonna have to sign Johansson long term. You've got the players there for a few years. But I think there's an opportunity right now. If you add some rental guys, maybe you can make a run. But right now they're just losing. They can't win.
Isn't Johansson signed?
He signed for one more year at 4 or 4.5. So they have some time with him, and I think he's an RFA after.
He would be an RFA, yeah.
So yeah, they have arbitration rights on him. So I mean, that's not a situation right now that
they're just in a tough spot. They're in a tough spot, and their GM put them in a tough spot. And I'm not going to stop saying that because he did, and he's trying to correct it. And I don't know if he's going to be able to correct it.
Yeah, because who are you bringing in? Who are you bringing in that's going to inject life into that team?
I know. I mean, that's the thing.
Duran?
Even Eric Stahl, who I believe would be, have a resurgence no matter where he goes. If you watch him play right now, he's not the same. So I don't know.
Yeah, because you can't. When you're that lazy, when you're that lazy, you don't do anything.
Russ, if you notice, look at his stats. He's been scoring the last couple weeks. He's trying to attract interest.
No, there's no question. I mean, and I like Eric Stahl, and I think he will continue this little bit of an uptick for sure. But I don't know. I don't know if there's a magic potion for Nashville other than getting the guys they have to actually produce. And that's the biggest problem for them because it just seems like
but
they're top 5 in shots on goal a game.
But Russ, the guys,
that's a funny thing.
That's crazy.
The guys that they have a bunch of Craig Smiths and Colin Wilson.
They need more from Forsberg though. Forsberg has talent. James Neal has talent.
I agree. James Neal has talent. Forsberg has talent. There's Ribeiro is very good on the power play. But he's aging. I mean, but that core group, that group.
Mike Fisher.
Mike Fisher's a defensive shutdown guy. I mean.
Well, they paid a lot of money for Mike Fisher. I mean.
They paid a lot of money for Mr. Carey Underwood, but anyway.
Okay, but whatever. But again, this is all.
Team's better when he's in the lineup.
Yes.
Yeah. But this is all part of the roster construction. This is all part of the roster construction. I mean.
Right. But I see the thing is I don't think they have up front especially they don't have a team that fits their coach. I think they have a team that fits their
ex-coach.
And that's why I think they need to go out and get themselves one or two guys who can put the puck in the net, even if it's in a second or third line role.
Does Labby need to go in the locker room and throw some more jam against the wall? Is that what it's going to take? I'm just saying.
I don't know what you're talking about. One other waiver move that was made or that he cleared was Long Island native Chris Higgins.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not surprised.
You're trolling with that. You are.
I'm not saying anything.
I know. He trolled with that. He did.
I know. The amazing vaunted career of Chris Higgins.
But again, with the situation now, he's got a year left. And he's at $2.5 million. I know that even in the Vancouver press, they've said we'll retain money to move him. He's got 2 goals in 25 games.
Yeah, I just can't see. I can't see him going anywhere.
Yeah, he's gonna.
What's their minor league team? Utica.
Yeah. There are nice apartment rentals in Utica. So, okay. The bottom 5. One of the things I wanted to talk about here because. Columbus is playing Toronto tonight in what I call the Powerball Bowl or the Lottery Bowl. Wait,
did you guys get your tickets?
I got my tickets. I got my $10.
I got mine too. Okay.
I got $4 in it. That's it.
I will not spend any more. Like if it's $150 million or $1.5 billion, I will never spend any more than $10.
There you go.
$4 is my limit. I never go higher than 4, and I rarely do it.
And if I win the $1.5 billion, I will be here tomorrow. I'm not quitting my job if I win the 1.5.
Yeah, but you won't tell us you won because you'll be calling a lawyer first and doing all the Weasley things everybody does when they make money, and you'll just be acting like you're normal.
I wouldn't want. I would definitely set up an estate or a trust. I would never go.
I know that, but it takes a few days.
Oh
so
yeah.
For a couple of days, you're gonna have to fake it with everybody and not tell them you won, and then we're all gonna be pissed off at you in like a week when you announce, "Hey, I'm the big winner! Woo!"
You won't be pissed off when I pay off your mortgage, but anyway.
Wait, can I hold you to that?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, lawyers. Okay. So
I'm gonna need a driver.
Oh,
I'll pay well.
Columbus is at the bottom of the league with 34 points. I watched Edmonton last night. They were leading in Arizona and then blew the lead in the third period. Still got a point, but
that was an entertaining game.
That was a very entertaining game. And the thing is, I mean, they called up Zach Cassian today, which I don't know about. It seems a little too soon for me, but they know the situation better than I do. But McDavid is probably going to be coming back in probably a couple weeks. Russ, I don't think Edmonton's going to be in the bottom 5. I think they're gonna move up at least a little bit.
Yes.
With scoring, they played better. They're actually getting okay goaltending from Nielsen and Talbot. The young players are starting to get the swing of things, and when they get McDavid back, if they can protect him and not get him injured again.
When's Clefbaum coming back too?
I haven't heard, but I know that Yakupov is coming back pretty soon as well.
Yeah, I don't think they're bad enough to be in the bottom 5 this year.
No, I agree. I think they'll be like 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 worst. But
they're showing improvement.
Yeah.
They're showing some improvement.
Yep.
It's not enough, though.
Oh, no, it's still painful. But it's
not
definitely...
to make the playoffs, but it's enough to keep them out of the bottom 5, which I think most people in the NHL are hoping for because they don't want to see them win the lottery again. The Buffalo Sabres, to me, are another team like that.
Wait. But a team out of the bottom 5 can still win the lottery. It's just the chances are really diminished.
Yeah, but we're talking about 3% instead of 20. I mean, that's what I'm saying.
You got a 3% chance of dating like a model. Would you rather have 3% or 0%?
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah. You got a girlfriend. I don't.
It's a wife, but I get it.
The Buffalo Sabres, I think, are on a similar track to Edmonton. They've won they lost 6 games in a row. They were playing terribly. Now they've won their last 2. They're a young team. They really don't have a lot of guys that they're going to trade off at the deadline. I think that the organization is looking to the second half as, okay, let's build on this. Let's get Eichel some experience. Let's get Kane back into the swing of things. They're not going to trade off pieces. Reinhardt's improving. I think they're going to be – they'll be better. They're not going to get into the playoff race, but they're going to be a better team going into the second half than they were in the first half.
Marginally.
You don't think so?
They're improving, though. I think that's another team. They're improving.
They're improving slightly. I kind of wish Eichel had better players to play with.
He's having a very good year. His numbers don't show it. He is going to be a phenomenal player.
I mean, if he had better players to play with, the points would be even better. I think we all know that.
Kane needs to stay healthy, and Matt Molson is a horrible signing.
Yeah, Evander Kane stinks too. I mean,
he can't stay healthy. I mean, how do we even know what he is? He can't stay healthy.
You can only go by the numbers he has, but the numbers he has are not good.
No, they're not. No, but I'd like to see him healthy for 20 straight games.
Yeah, but to me, if I'm that team, I know that they want to spend money.
Right.
I would try and move Evander Kane and not live with the 5.5 or whatever it is, $5 million for the next 2 years, because I think it's only going down. I really do.
Yeah, but
I don't know. How old is he? 24?
It doesn't even matter. Take the age out of it. I think it's all about ego and results and accountability, and I don't think he's ever faced accountability. Mike, do you ever think anybody's really told Evander Kane, you've got to score 30 goals, dude, or maybe you're not going to be here anymore? Nobody's ever had that conversation with him, I guarantee it.
If they did, it was probably in a shower with him wearing a tracksuit. But no, I think there's some accountability issues there with him, and basically that's what I think they sort of need to weed out and find out whether. I mean, honestly, and it may be one very small little thing, but him passing up, scoring a goal on an empty net in Winnipeg and passing it to Sam Reinhart for the hat trick spoke volumes to a lot of people about Evander Kane.
Sure.
He could have been very selfish and scored the goal and pumped his fist and flipped the finger to the people in Winnipeg who were critical of him. But instead he passed off.
He fell in the on-ice warm-ups, and people in Winnipeg like that.
That was pretty funny, though.
Yeah, well, but yeah.
I'm actually surprised he wasn't out 6 weeks after that fall.
He's got 15 points in 33 games, and he's a -8. I mean...
All right, so let's say that's like a 45-point season.
Right. He said he was going to score 50 goals in the preseason.
Well, that's just stupid.
But we knew it was stupid.
I think he'd be happy with 50 points.
Well,
$5 million? I don't know.
Hey, Carl Hagelin, how many goals does he have? He makes $4 million.
Honestly, I don't think the
Sorry, Carl Hagelin. It's just a terrible contract. You have a great agent.
It's a bad contract, and at least Hagelin plays the penalty kill. Sorry.
I don't think the Sabres could justify trading Evander Kane right now.
I think you can get a defenseman for him. How about that? Hey, Nashville, you want Evander Kane?
Right. That's exactly what I would do.
We'll take Ryan Ellis.
Yes, I would absolutely dangle him to Nashville. It is brilliant.
Okay, so what I was saying is Wow, somebody's calling who just doesn't want to take no for an answer.
Listen, tell your mom you got a few more minutes, and
we're almost done.
It's not my mother.
We're almost done. You know, your laundry will be done and folded. Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you very much. Jeez.
It could be a supermodel. We don't know, Dan.
You have a 3% chance.
Columbus is currently on a downward track. I think we all say that. I think it's pretty much not that it's a lock they're gonna finish in last place, but right now the way they're playing with their injuries, with everything that's going on, it looks like they're on a downward track. I think Buffalo and Edmonton are sort of on upward tracks from where they are right now.
That's fair.
To me, Toronto is on a downward track, losing JVR. And now it seems like almost a foregone conclusion that they're going to trade most of or all of their UFA guys.
They should, because they're actually going to get some. P.A. Parento's probably played his way into a decent draft pick for them.
Yeah, they probably get a second or third round pick for him.
Yeah, and I think you take that in a heartbeat. That's success right there.
Yeah, for Roman Polak, I mean Reimer, the other UFAs that they can get something for. So
yeah,
and I don't think they have a lot in terms of them calling up. They're not going to call up Nylander. They basically said that's off the table. So they're going to call up like Mark Arcabello and Jeremy Morin and Matt Fratton when they trade.
That will definitely seal it for him.
Right, exactly. Calgary, I think, is on an upward track. Even though their first half has been bad, there's too much talent there. And they're in the race, so I think they're still gonna.
They're in that terrible division. They can still get there.
Right.
Yep.
Vancouver's trending down, I think.
I don't know about that. I think they're. I think they're the same. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just because I was going to get to Vancouver because I was taking the bottom 10 here. Winnipeg to me is a team that's on the track down.
Yeah, they're going down. Elevator's going down.
Yeah, because
Scheifele's hurt now.
Yeah.
Scheifele's hurt. I mean. Hollebuck hasn't played bad, Russ.
Actually, I think he's been pretty good.
He hasn't played bad. I think he's got a 9.26.
Yeah, I know he's been outstanding. He's exceeded expectations.
Yes.
I'm saying he hasn't been the problem. I think the problem.
No, but that's a good thing for them, right? They could trade Pavlik and they could even trade Hutchinson if they want.
Yeah, yep. I mean, is there a team out there that needs? Well, I mean, first of all, Pavlik is not exactly the model of consistency when it comes to goaltending. So
somebody will take him for something.
What about Columbus? Wouldn't they want maybe Comrie?
I don't think they'd offer Comrie. I think they're looking at Hellebuck and Comrie and saying we're in good shape, but we'll trade these other guys.
What about Hutchinson? Hutchinson could help Columbus.
He'll get a draft pick. His contract's up, but he'll get a draft pick.
Anaheim, maybe you'll disagree. I think Anaheim is on an upward track because they're still in the race.
I don't know what to make of them.
Yeah, but they're still in the race, and they have actually cap room to add players. I mean, Bob Murray may be digging himself even deeper hole, but I think he's all in like Pittsburgh is and like Nashville is.
Here's the thing: even if they were to make the playoffs, and we all thought they were the Stanley Cup team, a lot of us did preseason. Do we think they're all of a sudden going to gel perfectly and go on a magic run?
No. Ryan Kessler looks like he's 74 years old.
Honestly, the one thing, the best case scenario for Anaheim right now is to finish second or third in the Pacific and hope that they play Arizona in the first round.
Right.
And then it would be them probably meeting.
Oh, that's going to be a brutal matchup, whatever it is. You actually hope you want to hope Calgary gets in there or Edmonton. Well, I don't know if Edmonton can make it, but boy, a Calgary-Edmonton first-round matchup would be fun. Or Calgary against anyone would be fun just because of the style they play.
Right. Philadelphia with 43 points. I actually think, Russ, they got better with the trade. They got rid of LeCavier, they got rid of Shen, they basically got rid of some
dead weight. Yep.
Dead weight. And now, I mean, even though Gostisbehere is hurt, but he's coming back.
He's not coming back tonight for rivalry night, but he'll probably be back next game, it seems.
Well, that avoids him taking a head hit from Zach Ronaldo then.
Yeah, Ronaldo, it's kind of funny. He there was before the Winter Classic, he was talking like maybe he'd get into a fight at the Winter Classic, and he didn't. Now he's hoping for positive vibes in Philly, and I don't know how positive the vibes are going to be because it's not like he was a bad flyer. People liked him, but now that he's on the Bruins, I don't know. He's not getting a video tribute. Let's put it that way.
I was just about to say, if the Leafs didn't give a video tribute to Phil Kessel, will the Flyers give a video tribute for Zach Ronaldo?
No,
It's
they'll
fun.
put his
Go ahead, Russ.
picture up. Yeah, they'll put his picture up, and we'll see what happens.
The funniest Zach Ronaldo story, I'll tell it quickly, is my buddy. He used to do a lot of work for NBC and their hockey coverage, and he was their replay producer. And a lot of times he would have to go through all the video while the game was going on of the mic'd up, the guys who were mic'd up. And so it was Rangers, Flyers. I forgot who was mic'd up, but Ronaldo was chirping at Avery on the bench, chirping at Sean Avery, saying horrible things. And Avery looked up and he's like, "Oh, you're not a healthy scratch?" And he just went right to the bench. And that's the best Zach Ronaldo story I've heard.
Yeah, I think the Flyers. We talked about them being a bubble team preseason, and I think they're still going to be a bubble team towards the second half. Like they're going to end up being like
10th
in the league, 20th, something like that.
Again, there's too much talent there. You got Voracek.
They're showing signs of improvement too.
Yes.
Yeah. I think they're on.
I think they're going to be very good in like 2 years.
Yeah, I think they're on the outskirts of the wild card race, and maybe they stay within 4 to 6 points the rest of the year. I mean that.
And right now they're 23rd. I think they could go up to 20th.
That's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair, and that's an important. They show like I said, they show like they're going to be a very good team in 2 years.
You have Vancouver with 44 points. I think they're trending down because I think you've got Verbata as a UFA. You've got Hamhuis who's out, but he's a UFA. I think they're going to trade off some of their older players, and maybe the young guys are ready to step up. I mean, McCann and Virtanen and Horvat, and maybe they. But I think that and they are in that division, so they could stay competitive. I just don't know. Verbata is important to them because he plays on the line with the Sedins, and if you trade him, then you need to find somebody else who can play with the Sedins.
I mean, Miller's having a really good year, and
he is.
And Markstrom has played. I mean, they every game that I watch, they've been playing Markstrom lately, and Miller's
been banged up, right? He just came up,
but he's having a good year. I think based on Miller, based on a little bit of the upside from the young guys, I still think they're going to be a bubble team too. I don't see them trending down, and even if they trade Verbata, Benning's been very good at keeping his team competitive while making trades. He's done a really good job there if you think about it.
I think San Jose is going to stay right about where they are right now. They don't have the cap room to add anything, so not that they're going to trend down or trend up. There's enough talent there to be competitive in that, especially in that division. The team I see trending downward, and the funny thing is they continue to play a lot better than they ever thought they would, is the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, when they trade Stahl, that's going to create a massive hole in their lineup. But right now they're putting points in the bank. And if they continue, they're continuing to win with Skinner and with Stahl, and Justin Falk. I mean, they have that core group. Once they trade Stahl, which I think they're going to, and probably trade John Michael Lyles and a couple other players, then they may come back down to earth. But they may earn too many points, Russ, that they could get into the bottom 5.
Nah, I still think they're going to be there. I still think once Stahl goes, then everything just sort of tumbles down for them. Here's the funny thing. We're getting close enough on the list now to where, you'd almost be talking about Pittsburgh soon. And right now they're still sitting as a non-playoff team. Do we think that they could possibly miss the playoffs? They're going to deal, but I think they can, yeah.
I thought so 2 weeks ago, and then then Crosby started scoring.
Yeah, but then it's kind of leveled off again.
It's leveled off now.
He had 2 points last night.
Yeah, but they lost to Carolina. Who cares how many points he has?
I'm
sorry, I don't mean to be attacking you. It's just, it's great that Crosby's starting to find his game, but the team's not.
I think that was the most important thing for them. I mean, Fleury played well before the injury. I don't think he's playing badly now that he's back.
No, Fleury's not the problem. It's their defense. It's their bottom 6.
They have Letang back. Letang is playing well. Their defense is a little better, but not great. They need Kessel and Crosby and Malkin to score like they can.
Oh, we said that at the beginning of the year.
I know, but it still holds true.
Well, but that's the thing. You might be saying that in April, and then it might be over.
Yeah, well, granted. I mean, I expected them to be firmly entrenched in a playoff spot at the halfway mark, and they're.
Well, the Devils have kind of exceeded expectations, but they're
Yeah.
coming. They're coming down to earth a little too.
And we know that the Boston Bruins have exceeded Russ's.
Mine too.
Yeah, they're slipping lately.
They're slipping too, and Tampa's waking up. The sleeping Giants getting healthy, and Tampa's waking up.
Yeah. All right, guys, good show. We will be back tomorrow with another edition of the Hockey Buzzcast. Ackland should be back, and I know Russ will be back. Dan, you are not.
No, sorry.
So for Dan Petru, for Russ Cohen, this is Michael Agello, and remember, without just hockey.